Booyah. All right, we're gonna turn off the music because these boys are here.
Computer audio. Yo, what's going
on, guy? Yeah, I can.
How do I do the video? Here we go. Start video. Sick.
All
right. What's going on, man? What's going on, dude?
Oh, dude, just been another crazy day. So hopefully you guys have had a good day. Sorry, I started recording the Zoom call.
But desk back there, so I gotta like stand up to hit buttons. I'm real super professional over here.
Hey, I get it. You know, gotta do what you gotta do. You know. Let me see here. Sorry, I gotta clear up a little bit of memory on my computer. It's not liking what's going on right now. It's kind of overwhelmed. It's like, oh, you're doing too much, even though I'm not doing anything. That is right.
Yeah, we're over here.
Oh, good. At least you're plugged in. That's the important thing, you know. Make sure you're plugged in. Let's see. All right, looks like we're getting a little bit. There we go. We're getting a little bit better now. All right, my computer's not nearly as mad as it was. So, well, guys, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast. I really appreciate it.
Of course, man. For having us, dude.
Yeah. So, I'm always really stoked when I get to have, you know, pop punk, just like true to form pop punk bands, because that's just like my whole core and my roots, you know. So real quick, I always like to start out just doing quick introductions, you know, give you guys just a second to tell us who you guys are individually, and then you know, kind of elementary school style, tell us something unique about you.
For sure, man. I'm Keith. Keith Carroll. Are we doing this? Hi, Keith.
I'm Keith.
That's not really elementary school.
Yeah, that's a little later on in life. That's the kid in elementary school who ate too much glue, you know.
Got it. For sure, me. Too much glue, and I'm vocals at Northvale, and full-time comedian. Part-time shitty comedian. Part-time shit comedian. Yeah. Can we curse on this thing? Is that cool?
Yeah, you're good, man. However you talk, you know.
Because I have to hold them back F-bombs. Yeah, it's like what time is it? You know, you can only it's like 7:30. We're reaching that hour of professionalism out the window.
Oh, I get that. No problem, man. Right. You talk however you talk. I that's for me the biggest thing is like authenticity, right? Like that's the whole point of my podcast is just to kind of like get the real you guys, you know? So it's just like this is fun.
Awesome. And I'm Mike Piacentini. I'm a guitar player in Northvale.
Sick.
That's
tell us something. Nope, you got to tell us something unique, man. Guitar player, everyone knows that just by looking at anything, you know.
Yeah, good. Don't stay off the glue, man. It's not good. All right, something. Is Aaron coming? All right, so our drummer's here too.
Oh, sick. He's army crawling into the room here. Perfect.
Jesus Christ. Is he in frame?
What's up, dude? Yeah, we cut off the bottom of his chin, but you know, yes, perfect. Now we get his short legs right there, you know.
All right. Not that you sniff glue, don't say that. We already used that. We picked that one.
A unique fact. Wow, that's interesting. So my name's Aaron Milan. I'm the drummer for Northvale. A unique fact.
He wears the best socks.
Oh yeah, I spend a shit ton of money on socks. Like
nice.
Socks.
Dude, I'm all about the stance socks, bro.
For every occasion, the gym, snowboarding, anything, any reason. And I actually have a subscription. That's how.
Dude, I didn't even know Stance did subscriptions.
Oh yeah, subscription. So the subscription is $20 a month. Each sock that I get from there is like $18 to $20. So basically, you're getting it at cost. And then I just donate the ones that because they never break. So I just either donate them to like homeless or give them to like my brother, who's the same shoe size as me.
Oh, I was gonna say who's basically homeless. I thought you were gonna say that. I was like, oh snap.
Yeah, I don't really worry about him other than giving him socks. So he's doing all right. He's got socks. So
I hope you're ready for us to just bust out into nonsensical tangents.
Dude, that is my absolute favorite part about this, dude. Like I have a very hard time staying on quote unquote topic. So just know that I'm gonna join you guys in the tangents. So it'll be awesome.
I'm like fried out right now. I got up.
Blow your anxiety.
This is my anxiety whistle. It's not really a whistle.
Just kind of helps relieve the stress.
Oh, okay.
It's a different way to deal with it.
So it helps you exhale slower. What's it
called?
Komusu. I don't know. Something.
So
you should buy it. It's
Japanese.
This is not an ad. We're not trying to fucking
sell.
sell
Basically,
anxiety.
a moisture band, so we Mike's gonna sell you something else too.
I got woken up today. I got woken up today at 5 a.m. because I have a rabbit.
Oh yeah,
and she's not like a rabbit. She identifies as a cat. So she's not. She doesn't exist in like a cage. She just has a litter box, and she just like she exists. You know.
Okay.
She also he for.
Oh yeah, yeah. I don't know. She was a he first.
Yeah.
Now she's a she. She's a real like.
Didn't know its fucking gender until he brings it to the vet to have it neutered, and it's like, dude, this is a girl. So.
Yeah. She's dope, but like her thing is that like, she wakes me up every day at 6:30, and like today it was 5, and I just looked at her. I'm like, what are you doing, bro? It's just on my chest, like staring at me. I'm like,
she's not like it's not like a little like like a hat bunny. It's like
the vet. I don't know.
It's like one of those big fat ones.
Yeah, like the long-eared bunny.
Yeah.
The vet told me she was fat the other day, and I kind of got bent out of shape about the vet. Like, dude, like mind your business.
Dude, I mean, it sounds like you're preparing yourself for kids, you know? Because that's my life, like every day.
Yeah, idiot.
What do you know, doctor?
Dude, I can definitely relate to that, man. The being woken up at ridiculous hours, but mine's not a bunny. Mine's just my 2 sons. They're just crazy. So I get that. What was that? Oh, I've got a 6-year-old and a 3-year-old. So
3-year-old. Oh, that sounds like a nightmare. Sorry.
Oh, dude,
I have a 3-year-old nephew, and he's literally. He's a monster. He's like Clifford. If you've ever seen that movie with Martin Short.
Dude, I have not heard anyone reference that movie in years.
Yeah, that's kind of what you're gonna get out of me.
Dude, I love that. So my parent, like growing up, we had that on Laserdisc. Have you guys ever seen Laserdiscs?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, dude, it's like the size of a record, and we had it on Laserdisc. That movie was great.
It's if you want to.
Like big ass discs that you put. It was before DVDs.
Yeah, it was pre-DVD and pre-VHS.
It was pre-VHS.
Must have been the glue.
It was probably during the same era of VHS, actually.
I thought it was during,
yeah, same era. Yeah, you're right.
Disc, like you were like, yeah, fuck that tape shit. I'll go for the laser disc.
Okay.
Yeah, it was. We had oldies karaoke, so like a bunch of like Beach Boys and Elvis and like a bunch of good Motown, like on these like music video karaoke laser discs. So we'd plug a microphone into the laser disc player, and whether you're good or bad, it came through the speakers alongside the music, and it was interesting.
Good technology, man. That's just.
I think we should. Can we acquire one of these?
I mean, my parents still have it. It's in their storage unit. I was like, dude, I gotta get this thing.
Social media.
This
is like social media gold.
Let's film our next music video, but we're just gonna do it only on Laserdisc karaoke machines.
Dude, oh man, that's amazing. So yeah, let's talk a little bit about. Obviously, you guys have released. Honestly, like I keep going back to the most recent song because it's freaking amazing. Let me see. Sorry, I don't remember names of songs very well, so you'll see me here looking up the.
I just remember how it sounds.
Yeah, Yeah, that's kind of my my way of doing things.
We don't really know the names of our songs either. I think when we write them, our pre-pro demos are all New Girl quotes. I don't know if you ever watched New Girl.
I have not watched it. My wife has watched it. She said she likes it, but I don't really watch a whole lot of like.
It does a lot of good references to like stuff that, especially if you're like, oh yeah, Clifford, you would get a lot of these references that they do. It's good. But yeah, like Keith said,
we don't name any of our songs until I'm ready to like upload them to Spotify.
Yeah.
Oh, for real.
Yeah, dude. Post mastering, like we need to name it. It's like what? We didn't name it.
I will say your guys' songs. I mean, they're at least like normal names. Like I tried to tell my buddy to listen to a song by Hot Mulligan, and it's like I don't even know. Like just it's track number 4 off of this really bizarre album. Just.
I'm all getting free from the bottom. They're off in the middle somewhere.
They can do whatever they want. Yeah, I was talking to Chris about that, and I was like, dude, you're fucking. I'm sorry. I was sending him some of our pre-pro demos, and he was like, I was like, I'm sorry, these have the worst names. He's like, dude, my songs have bad names when I release them.
My favorite thing was that they released a song called featuring Mark Hoppus, and Mark Hoppus he's not mentioned in the song. There's no reference to Blink-182, and I was just like, where in the world did this come from?
Great marketing. Yeah,
oh, absolutely. Well, I mean, and then you did.
Names like
I'm doing that on the next song. We're calling "Runaway" featuring Olivia Rodrigo. That's
yes, do it. Do it. That would be amazing. Well, because like
trick the Spotify curators will blow up real quick.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, freaking Mark Hoppus reached out to them afterward and said, "I would actually like to be on one of your songs," which is pretty dope.
Yeah,
because it was like
that's like best case scenario,
right? Yeah, it's like, dude, that's the best. But the one that I keep going back to, well, there's two, because AJ Perdomo is one of my favorite vocalists of all time. So High Tide, just having him in there is super sick. But then Good Intentions, it's just like, oh man, I just keep going back to those two songs in particular. But honestly, I've been really impressed with all of your music. I was really surprised I actually hadn't heard you guys before getting that email to do the interview. So I'm now a big fan. So just know that I'm really excited right now.
It's good to hear.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit, like with let's see, the Things We Used to Be, that was last year you guys released that. Obviously that one's the one with High Tide on it, right?
Yeah.
And I always like to ask this because anytime someone released something in 2020, I feel like it was just such a crazy, an absolute crap storm of a year anyway. So I'm imagining like releasing music was pretty stressful on top of all of that. So tell me a little bit about that process.
Like, we became a band officially right before right before that all happened. So I want to say 2 months.
Yeah, we're a COVID band. You know, they have like COVID babies that were born.
I had just gotten out of another band, and I had been breaking Mike's balls for months to start another band with me, and he didn't want to do it. And then he finally said yes. We got everybody together. We wrote a couple songs, started to figure out the logistics of what this band was going to be. Like, what are we going to sound like? Like, what is it going to be? And then COVID.
Yeah.
I think I remember when it was too, because we wanted to do those promo shots with the cherry blossom tree, and then we couldn't meet up to have a photo shoot because everyone was like locked in their house. You couldn't go outside. And I was pissed. I don't know why I was so pissed about that. Like I was really excited about the tree. I don't know why I was so excited.
So I think we like went into the studio for the first time together in like December of 2019, and then we put out our first song in February of 2020.
And that was Sleepwalking, right?
It was Valentine's Day.
And then it was like, 3 weeks later, it was like, time to go into lockdown.
I think High Tide was the last thing we did right before. It was the last thing we recorded.
Yeah.
Okay.
I remember being in the studio without a mask issue. There was no problem there.
High Tide was actually like, though, I was like, no one's gonna like this song.
Yo, High Tide was
like, this song is beat.
High Tide was
no one's gonna like this. I don't want to record it. And these guys like, just let's put it down. Let's see what happens. And then Keith came through with the lyrics. Dude, and once the lyrics came in, it was like a completely different song.
Okay.
When we go into the studio, it's always the same story, and I feel like I just never learn. But it's we go there. We don't really go to the studio for the sake of vocals, you know, because like technology's pretty legit now. Like we could get solid vocal sessions without going to a $10,000 studio. You know what I mean? So like when we're in the studio, it's usually drums. That's most important. Then you have guitars and bass next. But I go in there with the idea that like I'm not really gonna have to do much. Maybe throw down a scratch track, but I just get to hang out and have a good time, you know?
Yeah.
But then it's always like towards the end, like the last day or the second to last day, it's always Mike too, because Mike's got to break the bad news. It's like he's like taking on this role. He's like, you know, I'm just gonna be the one to ruin the fun. So Mike will sit me down and be like, hey Keith,
saddle up, partner.
We need you to record vocals on this song because it's not High Tide yet. We need you to record vocals on this song, and I'll just look at him, you know, maybe not 100% sober. Yeah.
The first chorus,
and he'll say something like, Keith, I need you to record this song, and I'll say, Mike, it's not written. You know, there's no words, there's no idea, there's no anything.
You got music. That's all you need, bro.
He'll be like, yeah, man, you got like 5 hours.
Dang.
We gotta wrap this up.
No pressure. No pressure at all.
Like drinking coffee out of the pot. just like staring at a notebook paper, and then but that one was a shock. That one came together so smoothly. I think luck was on our side that time. You know, things just lined up right. I love that song, man.
Me too. Yeah, like I said, I'm a huge fan of it. I mean, one of the things that, like, the reason High Tide like was the first one I checked out was, like I said, I saw AJ Perdomo. Listen, you know, yeah, because I was joking with my wife, so this is gonna be an interesting concert to take her to because she really loves Secondhand Serenade, and I used to really like back in high school. I listened to him a bunch because that's what all the girls listened to. So I was like, I can kind of buddy up to the girls, you know. But like, I stopped listening to his music years and years ago. But every time he comes into town, for whatever reason, I end up going. And my wife and I went last time, and now this time I'm like, I know how these guys are at a live show, and my wife hates swearing. Swearing doesn't bother me at all, but my wife is like very mild mannered that way, and so I'm like, I'm curious to know how this goes because, you know, they they're very candid, I guess is a good way of putting it, and I imagine you know, Secondhand Serenade, he was drunk on stage last time we saw him, so I'm imagining he'll probably follow suit. So anyway, yeah, I think of AJ Perdomo, and I'm very curious to know how my wife handles that show. But yeah, with High Tide, man, I heard it and I was like, dude, these guys are going places, because it was just it vibed like immediately. Like there's certain bands where it's like, oh yeah, they're gonna be good. They've got some potential, but like for the fact that you guys started and immediately were releasing stuff this high quality was like really, really impressive to me. So obviously you guys have all been in bands before, right? Like before Northvale. Like, so what's kind of the history that led you guys to create Northvale?
Go ahead.
You want me to go?
Yeah, you can talk.
All right. So so I met Aaron a while ago. Me and Aaron were in like a post-hardcore band, and we played stuff that was kind of like in the vein of like Seosin and like Silverstein, and like that's the scene that me and Aaron come from.
Sick. Love it.
Then, you know, over the past few years, Keith was in like just a straight punk band, like not pop punk, like they were playing
like skate punk.
Yeah, like skate punk, like
okay.
Like old Green Day type shit. And
oh,
like,
sick.
At some point, I don't know what happened. You were the rhythm guitarist and singer, and you were just like, dude, I don't want to play guitar anymore. and I was like missing playing shows. So he's like, "You want to play shows with me and just play the rhythm guitar?" And I'm like, "I could jump around on stage and play 3 chords for sure." Yeah, like, no problem.
Yeah, that's what it was, wasn't it?
And so, you know, Keith kind of brought me back into his circle doing that, and then that band kind of broke up. And like he said before, he was like, "Dude, I want to start another band. I want to start another band." I'm like, I don't think you want to be in a band with me, because the way I'm in a band, it's like very like professional. Like, we're gonna fucking do things the right way. Like, I'm not gonna like none of this skate punk bullshit where like it's like, yeah, whatever, man. It sounds okay. It sounds okay. Like, we're not doing that. Like, it's just gonna like
it's fun, man. It's true. I mean, it's weird how the genre like lends itself to like actually what it is, you know.
It's just a
drunk
dynamic.
drunk on stage, not really, you know. This is not that.
No, I mean, so, that's why you're able no effect, you know, Punk and Drublick. You're able to release an album named that for a reason, right?
I mean, and I love it, and
me too.
You guys love it too. You can appreciate it too, but that's not what Mike wanted to do at all.
No, so I started like talking to people like Aaron, and I got and then Keith started bringing in some other people, and we ended up getting Chris, who was our other guitar player and definitely probably our primary songwriter, and his favorite band is Yellow Card, and I guess when you just kind of merge all those influences, like the Seosin and the Yellow Card, and like, you know, Keith's punky vocals, it just kind of makes kind of what's going on in the pop punk scene right now. You know, it kind of lends itself to that kind of style. And then we rounded it out with Kev Miller on bass. And where you met? He was shooting. He's like he's like a tour photographer, and he was shooting Silverstein.
Yeah, I was that.
Oh, no way.
We both shot Newfound Glory last night.
Yeah, he did shoot it.
So if you see those pictures, those are his.
I friggin' that show. They came here to Utah a couple 2 weeks ago. Man, so good, so good.
They're a good show. They're a great show.
Yeah.
When Kevin was shooting Silverstein, and it was at Starland Ballroom, and we didn't have a bassist, and we were both drinking heavily just across the street at a VFW. And I don't know what, I think he overheard me talking to someone about something and just chimed in. And he's actually the one who introduced us to AJ.
Yeah, because he was dangerous.
So that's how that happened. But
I think the biggest dynamic in which he said it before is like, you know, how it sounds the way it sounds. Like, it's like that for a reason, not because yes, we thought, okay, it needs to be professional, it needs to have these qualities of what's happening now, but it's the way we record it, it's the way we do it. Like, we didn't get together in the basement for obvious reasons right away, and a lot of these songs were made in a more intimate setting, part by part, and then put together. So part by part digitally, with just focusing on guitars and focusing on this, and then it goes to me and I play it again and again. I focus on a part, I create something by myself with no other influences, and then Keith does his thing with no other influences, and then we come back in all together, and then we just start tearing each other apart and then bringing it back together. So it lends itself to a different creativity when you're doing it like that, versus like, okay, we wrote it in the basement, we wrote it this one time, this is how it's going to be forever, maybe we change it a little bit. It's like, nah, it's scratch tracks after scratch track. You work with it, I'll about this part. And you know, Mike does a good amount of engineering, working with Tone Temp as well. So again, it's not like we don't have a lot of outside influences on telling us how we're going to do this or how this sound. It's the sound that we wanted to do, that we wanted to make. And I think that kind of comes through, and that's kind of what we're working on. The full length is figuring that out. Like, did it work? Did it not work? Do we keep doing it?
Yeah.
Do we change it up? What other ideas are out there, you know, in the bank, if you will?
Man, and obviously, like, based on what you were saying, you know, when you guys came together, there was very clear expectations of work ethic, of time and energy put in. And obviously, like you said, you know, the thing that's interesting to me, though, with that whole process is, how do you build a song separately? Like, how does that come together?
It's not for the proud. That's for sure. Like you have to lose your pride. That's number one.
Yeah.
Me and Mike just flipped out on each other.
Keith hates me right
now. Me and Mike went to second.
They can't hate each other. They've known each other longer.
Yeah, this is a little awkward because I forgot to tell you. They actually told me that this was gonna be a therapy session. So
well needed, dude. Chris is our primary songwriter. He's not here right now. But
me and Chris will like create pre-pro demos before we do anything else. So like we'll sit down and like record all the guitars, bass, and program drums and be like, okay, this is like the core of a song. You know, it's not like I don't know, like when I used to be in bands, like before like technology kind of got up to snuff, it would just be like, let's go. I have this riff, and everybody would get together in a room and you would like play that riff and like until people fucking fleshed out the rest of the song. Now it's like, no, here's an entire song.
Yeah.
What parts do we like and not like, and what are we gonna cut out?
Things will change, so we'll work with that song. We'll be like, I don't like this, I like that. The song changes, the demo changes, and then it'll be like, Keith, go, write something to this. Okay, I'll go take it. I'll be like, I want this, guys. This is what I'm hearing for the chorus, the verses, blah blah blah. And then it might be like, no, Keith, that sucks. Do it again. Say, okay. It could be something as simple as, I don't like the inflection on your voice at the end of verse 2. It has to change. And like
fucking Ace beat me up about that.
That was another thing. We spent a week with Ace Enders.
Oh, dude, amazing.
And Nick Brzezzi from Man Overboard.
Yeah.
We spent a week.
Well, we were trying to do it a little differently. We were saying, okay, we did this for the EP. Let's get out there and get some, again, I said like we were very intimate on this. We're like, okay, let's get a little bit more I don't know how to say it, an opposite word of intimate.
Well,
let's bring some more people into our little
we wanted more
here.
brain.
Make it more collaborative. Yeah.
Let's see what they have to say about what we're doing. And I mean, I guess what we're doing is definitely different, so that's a shock. And it's not that it didn't.
I don't want to say
it was great.
And you did for production on a couple of the singles on our.
You said the new one that you were in, Good Intentions. That's Ace produced that. Ace ripped that apart and put it back together for sure. There's no denying that has him all over it.
That's amazing.
He yelled at me. He was like, you got to get out of here. You're beating Keith up too much.
Yeah.
That's just how it works.
What do you tell you guys? You're selfish, right? Selfish.
Well, again, it's someone comes out with an idea, and Mike, even with the drum part, like Chris programs all the drums, and I'm hearing, for me it's great because I'm like, the way I play, I'm very like, I'll never play for the most part the same part twice, which is a problem in some extent. But for me, I'm always more of an improv drummer, so I can just sit down, play me, and I'm just gonna start playing something, whatever you start playing to.
Sick.
So that's kind of been the way I write, and Chris doing this allows us to kind of get a baseline, so then you can create off of that versus like, all right, I'm just creating from zero. With this way, you're creating from at least 20-30%, and for me at least, I feel like we can get a little bit more creative and think outside the box. We're like, we already have the base. Now let's just make the top of the picture look really cool. And I think that's where you see and you hear a lot of other things in the song. You're like, wow, that's a lot of stuff. And to be honest, like I think we turn it out pretty quick when we get into that process. Now that we've been doing it for a year or two, it goes pretty quickly. But a good example is, and I'll tell you this, if you go to our page today, there's a little video clip. Like if you listen to that, that's a sample of the new single that comes out on October 8th, You Up. Listen to that and then listen to it when it comes out. That's a perfect example of a pre-pro, and then you can kind of hear what it turns into. You'll hear the bass line of it, and then next Friday you'll hear what it actually is.
It's only 5 seconds, though, right? That video.
It's like 8 seconds.
But still, but it's a. But I mean, like that actually. I mean, that kind of goes along with how I listen though. Is for me, like I never got terribly deep into like writing a lot of music. I played a lot of music when I was in high school and stuff, but that's a whole different realm, right? That's the skate punk. I'm just kidding. that's the mentality when it's like, nothing else matters. I don't have no responsibilities. I can just go and play a show whenever, whatever. But like as I've done the podcast, particularly, like I love to really listen to the songs, and like I have my wife's car has a really good sound system in it by default, and so I just go in there and I crank it up, and I listen to music because I'm like, first off, I appreciate music as a listener, that I want more people to like to appreciate the work that goes into it, and the fact that you're saying, you've got a pre-production version, and to see how much it is fleshed out and how much it blooms and blossoms from there to the final thing, that excites me. I love the idea of that, because like that whole process is so much more in depth, and obviously you guys have gone pretty in depth on what you do, but even then some of the stuff can't even be explained, right? Like some of the times I'm imagining you guys just have something in your head. You may not be able to say or sing it, or it's just like, no, it needs to be this way, and you can't explain it, right? It's like there's so much collaboration involved, and the idea that you guys are like so brutal with each other is it's like, it's good and it's bad, maybe. I don't know. What do you guys like?
And it's like it brings you closer together. You have to. It's the crazy dynamic, like it's hard to put 5 guys in a room and be like, okay, now get along forever,
Yeah.
So also it's also like completely diss everyone's creativity every day, but also be best friends, but it's just, but it's, I think you just gotta, everyone has to go into it knowing the end goal, right? Like, what do we want? We want this song to be the best it can be. We want all of our fans to love this song as much as possible. So that means that you necessarily may be wrong. Just because you like something doesn't mean it's right. So we have to all sit here. There's 5 of us, and we all love music, and we all love pop punk. So between the 5 of us, when we listen to something, you kind of have to just trust the majority. You got to go with that.
I think as like a local band, like nobody is gonna hold you responsible except you, right? Like,
yeah.
So if you're not hard on the fucking art, like no one else is gonna be, right? So like you could put out whatever you want if it's, and it'll show if it's like, if you guys just kind of fucking compromise on everything and just go, whatever, that's, Chris's idea, we're just gonna put it out as is kind of thing, that, having the collaborative, like everybody, tearing apart everybody else's parts kind of helps. But I mean, other bands might go differently in that situation, because like, if you don't have this dynamic where we can just shit on each other all day, then that doesn't work. So
well, no, it's so true, because I think, Aaron, you said that it's like 20 to 30% done when Mike and Chris have had their time with it, right? Is that kind of the
yeah, so when Mike and Chris will start it, Keith and I will jump in, and then Miller either jumps in like when I go, or he'll jump in when Keith goes. He's kind of like, depending on the song, depending on the vibe, because I think it's, so the way I like to play drums, and hopefully it sounds like that, is a little bit more on that rhythmic side versus that really traditional kind of pop punk thing. I think that's pretty common in a lot of the drummers that I listen to. So I always try to say, okay, I already did that on a track, I already did this, we did that. That's why having the pre-pros is great, because it allows me to kind of listen to everything right apart, or the way that the guys do it, send it to me. I can kind of reflect on it myself and be like, I already wrote a part like that, that's stupid, I don't want to do that again, let's change it up, so that everyone has a little bit of something different. And that really came through on this next single, that like kind of came out of nowhere. We were like, oh yeah, this song is pretty good, oh, maybe we should release. We had another song we were going to release as a single, and we were like hyped on that, and then this one came out after the pre-pro. We're like, oh no, we're super hyped on this one.
Yeah,
this one is big. I know the guys don't want to get too excited in case how it, like, if it doesn't perform well, but for me, it's like it's a great song. Like, my wife sings the first like 3 or 4 lyrics, every single time. And I'm like, why are you addicted to those couple lyrics? It's so different from the other tracks. I'm like, oh, thank God. Like,
That's awesome.
Like, I always get variety within the stuff that we get, like variety through consistency, you know?
Yeah. I think that's I like that saying, variety through consistency, like, because without the consistency, you don't know where to put the variety in. I think you were kind of obviously saying that with like the pre-production, you're able to like listen through it and be like, oh nope, I already did that, and only because you're consistently doing this that way. That's so cool. And it's like I said, it shows. I'm always impressed with the amount of effort that it takes, and then to see see what you guys are doing and really pushing the boundaries. It's obvious, like when I listen, it's obvious that there's a lot of care put into the music, but then with like the collaborative nature of things, like what is it that you guys find most difficult to agree on when you guys are going through this whole process and you're trying to get something put together? What is it that you consistently find difficult to agree on?
It's always melodies. It's like lead lines and vocals are like, because that's the shit that, like, you know, catches people's ears, right? So
the
like,
hooks, yeah.
In, you know, the pre-pro tracks, you know, we'll program drums or something, or we might write like a scratch vocal line, or even just like sing like oohs and ahs of like, you know, a vocal melody hook without like, you know, any lyrics in there, just like something as a shell of a line, you know.
Yeah.
So that keeps filling the blanks. But like, you know, where me and Chris are not the singer and we're not the drummer, and so like when we're doing these pre-pro demos, we'll just be like, okay, you know, I kind of want like a 4/4 beat or something, but like that's not how he's gonna play it, you know. I'm just like, this is just what's in our head right now. Let's get it down. Let's create this structure, and then, you know, fill in the blanks later. But I think with like melody lines and lyrics especially, I think, and you know, this is another reason I told Keith you didn't want to be in a band with me. I was like, dude, we're gonna be like hard on you. Like, I'm gonna be hard on like your lyrics and like on whether or not this shit is hooky enough or whatever. And like, you know, because at the end of the day, it's pop punk. It's got pop in the name for a reason. Like, it's got these abilities to it that, like, you know, I think people listen to this genre because it's hooky and like it has shit that you can like sing along to, and like, you know, has pop sensibility. So like there has to be those like traditional songwriting elements to it that like catch your ear as a listener. And so, you know, that's definitely what we're the hardest on, unfortunately, for this guy over here.
Yeah, I just started cruising underneath. Mike's like, hey, can you just do a different filter? I was like, no problem. It's weird, actually. Like, I'm most comfortable when Mike is behind the board at first, and then as we got more and more into the album, like our producer Kevin started sitting behind there, and it was just like still very awkward for me to listen to anyone else tell me what to do except for Mike. But eventually I got comfortable with like someone else doing that again, because this first part of the EP was so intimate doing that. So like, only comments that come out of me to Keith are like, man, I really like that. That gave me goosebumps. Like, that's my check. I'm like, you got the goosebumps. I wish that's what Mike said. That's my part. Right? There's a yin and yang to everything, and there's a yin and yang to this group as well. As there's a negative, there's a positive, and then there's
clearly the negative.
Well, like,
but you know, these guys are the negatives, I think, because they know more about what is needed for that part.
It's not even negativity, man.
Yeah,
it's constructive criticism at the end of the day. It's like, and it's never a bash at me. I know it's not. I have to, you know, depending on how tired I am, it's like going to be how well received it is. But it's not a bash at me. It's almost a compliment. If you think about it, it's like, no, Keith, do better.
Yeah, because I know you can.
Right, exactly. They wouldn't if I couldn't. Then if they didn't think I could, then like I'd get the boot. I'm sure.
Was it good intentions that you did it like in one take in front of Ace with like perfect pitch?
No,
like,
that was That was better when I can, but that's not out yet.
Another track that's not out yet, and
that's gonna be. I don't. That's not gonna be a single. It's too dark.
But he was doing. They were doing a video of it, and then all of a sudden Keith's like, "Oh, camera's here. Let's do that." One take. Notes were perfect on time. I was like, "What?" I was like, "Wow, this kid is fucking talented." I was like, "That makes me."
I like to put on a show for people.
And I've never really been in a band that ever like that had a singer like Keith before, right? A lot of like post-hardcore bands, a lot of this and that, but like legitimate Keith being able to sing and write the lyrics that he does kind of gets me excited and puts me up on a next level. Like, okay, my drum parts need to be as exciting as that, but make sure I don't take away from from the lyrics, because people are here to, like Mike said, it's pop. People want that hook.
Yep.
So that's kind of how we feed off of each other from that sense.
That's so cool. There's so much involved in all of that, and I love that. Like I think obviously, Mike and Keith, how long have you guys known each other?
God, since I was
our
6.
whole lives. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
And so there's obviously, like, when Mike said, "Dude, I promise you don't want to be in a band with me," like, Keith knew what he was getting into, but like, I think for your whole lives, like, I think that's magical though, because it's like, because they're, obviously from your perspective, Mike, you had to have known that Keith had the potential, or else you wouldn't have joined, because obviously you sound to be very, like, in a good way, particular about everything. And so obviously you knew that Keith had the chops. It was just a matter of holding him to that standard, right?
Yeah, that's really, I mean, look, I know I'm not like the easiest guy to get along with in this kind of setting, right? And so, like, I knew that was going to be the biggest hurdle for him, because Keith, he's super fucking talented, but like, I didn't know whether or not he could take that kind of criticism and like having that shit put under a microscope the way I do. And so, I had to warn him.
I'm
20 fucking years. I had to be like,
I can get a little. Now? Yeah, sure. It's not gonna be like playing Super Smash at my house. No, I think that was almost the reason I wanted to start a band with you. I think I knew that. I didn't have that in my old bands. Like, I didn't have somebody who was gonna I didn't have someone who was gonna battle me. Like, I had never had any opposing side that was gonna really like take it to the grave with me. Like, you will not fucking let up, no matter where I am on, in my like, I could be all over the place. Like, I'm a little all over the place today, and like it's like he just like gets me like, no, stay. Right
kind of circling the peg kind of thing.
But I mean, if I wanted that, I need that. That's the only way I could ever work in this type of situation. I need help with that. So,
well, I mean, Mike and I met in college.
Okay.
And it was weird because they were hesitant to ask me to join the group because, like, my schedule and this and that. And the weird part was, like, when they first asked me to sit in on the studio, because Mike knows, like, I'm obsessed with being in the studio. Like, I love nothing more than recording drums in the studio. I was just like, after I sat in, I told my wife, I was like, yo, when are these, I was gonna say a bad word. When are these guys gonna like ask me to play in this group?
Jabroni's in a bad
Yeah, I was gonna say jabronis. Asked me to sit in on this. I was like, oh, maybe like my parts weren't good. I was like, maybe this is not the style that they're going for. So there was this like back and forth for like 3 weeks of like, hey, what's up, guys? Hey, what's up, man? How's it going? I was like, we doing this or not? Like, what's going on?
We didn't know if you wanted to be serious about it.
So the reason why I decided to be serious is because, again, I knew Mike's history. I knew what Mike was about. And I had talked to Mike and I'm like, what's our situation with the singer? And Mike's like,
he suck?
Mike's like, I got like this guy is talented. He's good to go. Like, this is something real. And I'm like, yeah, it's crazy. Like, we spent all our, younger years trying to do something like this. And then it doesn't come till later, in life, and you have responsibilities. We all have other jobs. We all are doing other stuff, getting married or, whatever it may be, yet, we make the time for this. Everyone has their lane that they work on, whether it's social media, taking care of all the background stuff, like getting our music out there, which I have no idea how it happens, but Mike makes it happen everywhere, in every country in the world. But I think I that was one of the biggest things that brought me in and kind of keeps us together, where, it's weird if we don't talk as a group, like one day. Like if we go more than one day and we don't talk to each other, it's very odd. We're like, oh, there must be, a complete blackout, like in some show or the zombie apocalypse, if we're not all talking to either the band or just complete nonsense. So I think that kind of helps this whole process as well. Is that we are, friends for the most part.
For the most part. So I am curious. I'm taking a step back real quick. Mike, like with you and Chris, how long does because there's so much to writing music, obviously, but with you and Chris, like what's the process for you guys as you're prepping a brand new song for that pre-production? You're rolling through everything. Like, what are you guys doing to get that laid down, that foundation laid down?
Drinking beers.
Yeah. There's a lot of alcohol involved. I don't know. I didn't know Chris before we started this band. We brought Chris in through a mutual friend of Keith's. And
oh, okay.
I don't know. For whatever reason, I just have this weird fucking shorthand with the guy. Where like, if you put the two of us in a room together, like you said it the other day, you were like, I don't know what's going on. Like he was sitting with us when we were writing a song, and Keith was like,
I was panicking, completely panicking. It's not this single. I think it's going to be our next one.
Yeah, probably.
They just ripped it apart. Completely, they destroyed it. They destroyed it. And like, it was no big deal. Like, this was a piece of music, right? This was like a composition that I was like, okay, I'm cool with this. Like, I like where this is going. They're like, nah, delete. Did you save that? Delete this. And then they just did the whole thing and it came out better. But I just have to have a nervous breakdown. But that's how Chris is. You know what? I know I'm not supposed to be like focusing on writing stuff that's after the album, but I had this chorus in my head that just popped into my head. I went by Chris. It was just me and him hanging out at his house, and we wrote we wrote a full song. So I can see how it works with him.
Chris is good at structure. So Chris can take a riff really fast and be like, okay, this is a verse or this is a chorus. And he'll just, within, I don't know, 10 or 15 minutes, he can program an entire drum beat to it.
Dang.
And then let's sit there and, then we'll start going over melodies and lead lines and stuff like that. And so a lot of it is really just, me or Chris will come up with a riff and we'll just start playing it and he'll be like, okay, that's a verse. And he'll just drop it in Pro Tools and just start, programming drums around it and being like, okay, now we got this. Okay, how do we get from this into this part? Okay, we need a drum fill like this, what goes over that drum fill? And I'll play a lead and he'll be like, that works. And then he'll throw reverb on it or some shit. And then, and I'll be like, okay, now does that work? And then we'll like go through our fucking array of choruses that we have and be like, what chorus fits here? And, it's
dang.
It's very,
So two things that I've seen, because I've seen this from the outside, is Mike and Chris both have this characteristic, this personality trait, if you will, in them, and this is what allows them to do this, in my opinion, is when Mike is trying to figure something out, he will not stop until he figures it out. It could be on anything. It could be on a piece of equipment, it can be on a song, it could be on a track, like figuring out why Pro Tools isn't working. He will spend the next 45 minutes until it works the right way to do that. Chris is similar with a riff, a part in his head, the way he wants it to sound. He will not put the guitar down until he gets it, versus we've been in bands before where it's like, oh, this isn't working because it doesn't come in 10 minutes. Let's F it, let's leave it alone.
Dang.
With them, it's like, hey, this isn't working. Let's order a pizza and some beer and come back to it. Or let's just keep playing and keep hitting notes. And then Mike will be like, yeah, that's it. Keep going. And then, oh, no, that's it. Keep going. Flip back. So, when you have someone who's just like a flowing stream, and then, Mike, who comes in, is kind of like the walls and the structure to kind of put it into place, they work off of each other. And then, Keith and I are just all over the place when it comes to writing. And I think that's what I feel like that's what adds a little bit more of the flair to those songs. You hear it in his lyrics. I try to do it in my drum parts. And all that together kind of mixes and matches it and kind of brings it all to what you're listening to now. Hopefully what people like.
Yeah. I mean, it's so cool. Like this whole thing, like I feel like your guys' approach is so different than a lot of bands that bands I've talked to and bands that I've heard kind of their approaches and stuff. And I love it because I find like that fixation is actually like, you don't need everyone to be fixated, right? Like kind of what you're saying there, like you've got Mike who's just he's gonna stay fixated on it. He's gonna order his pizza, get his beer, and he's gonna truck on through. And like
Crazy Taxi, Crazy Taxi, yeah, we played. Yeah. Oh my God. Crazy Taxi night was good. I forgot about that night. Yeah, that was a good night.
I haven't played that game in years.
Dude, yeah, so these are like the random things that occur. Like when we're together, we usually pop out something like that. And that night it was Crazy Taxi, which I think we wrote.
I think me and you were playing Crazy Taxi while
they were writing. Right.
So yeah, Mike was working, Chris was working, and we were goofing off.
But then like I'll pop over, I'll be like, oh yeah, I can play a really sweet drum part to that. Like I really like that. Let's keep it going. And that was a lot of that first round, and that's just the process that works for us, and we keep it that way.
Yeah,
I think it's probably just like you said earlier. It's probably like a symptom of the whole quarantine thing. Like when all this shit started, like we just had to do everything in like pods, right? Like
yes,
we were all writing, in our individual studio, like makeshift studios that we have in our houses, and we're just kind of like, okay, here's a part, and then send it off to somebody, and do that, do the whole thing. And that's where all the shit came from, where I'm like, oh, we have this like backlog of choruses, because me and Chris would just write like little 30-second snips of shit and be like, okay, save it. I don't know what that is, but like throw it in the bank.
Yeah.
And we'll go. Yeah. And we sit down and start actually trying to like piece songs together.
To the whip folder.
So do you guys find like now that I'm assuming quarantine is obviously you guys are together, so there's less of a concern. You guys are able to be in person. Has it helped the process? Has it changed the process? Like, what has it evolved because of that, or is it still pretty consistently the same?
I don't think it changed at
all. I think we just got used. That's how Chris likes to write in general, and that's. I do like audio engineering as a profession, so like that's how I see a lot of these like artists do it, on the job. And so like to me, I'm like, okay, that's how this artist is doing it, then that's the way we're gonna do it, even though it's like, we're not fucking, anything special or whatever. But like I'm like, well, that's the work ethic you got to have. And so like the fact that I see other artists doing it, and then that's the way Chris does it, I'm like, there's no reason to change. That's clearly the way that every A-list person is doing it. So like let's get on board and try to figure this out.
Yeah. And obviously as an audio engineer, I'm assuming, like, do you guys all come from like music backgrounds, like in terms of education and profession, or are you guys kind of all over the board there?
I mean, I work during the day. I manage a company that sells music equipment. I started DJing like private parties and events and things like that when I was like 12 or 13. So I think music has always been a huge part of my life. It was always what I wanted to do, professionally. But my education stopped like before it was, before I finished. So I don't know. I guess, I don't know. Music was always what I wanted. Mike, you went to school for engineering, didn't you?
Yeah. So me and Chris did the whole thing, and and I mean, Chris did it for a while as a profession too. So
okay.
We both come from that background where we're just, and that's probably another reason we're comfortable working this way. It's just like, we're more comfortable like almost in front of Pro Tools than we are in front of a guitar. It's like, I could open up a Pro Tools session and build something real fast. And, I think if you're not adverse to that, then there's probably a barrier to entry, right? If you're not adept at that kind of
Absolutely.
workflow, right? Then like opening a Pro Tools session is like, oh shit, I got to sit here and like figure this out now.
Yeah.
I never thought about that. The fact that like everyone can like open Pro Tools and just like
we all have Pro Tools. We all have those little monitors. We all have our plugins. Like we all have, and I was kind of the last one to get, because I was like, I played music, jazz band, this and that, that whatever training you get through school, and then I went to engineering school as well, that music, mechanical engineering, and then just was lucky enough to be able to keep playing. Didn't play for years because I lived in an apartment. And then my wife's like, stop complaining about not having a drum set. I'm tired of hearing you. Because we'd go to like the local bands that would do cover bands.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, this guy doesn't play the fill on these 2 songs. I'm going to effing lose it in this fucking place. And they would skip the fills, and I'd be like, oh, obviously I wouldn't boom when I go home. I'd be like, this guy couldn't play the fucking fills on Jumper? Come on, come on. Jesus. Yeah, that's usually where it was.
Your wife is like, I can't take it anymore.
you do something about it. So that kind of
fucking 6 months later, I called.
Yeah, so I got an electric kit.
Oh, sick.
And, I'm an adult now, so I don't have to like cut grass for money and buy a used like $200 drum kit off some old guy down the street. And the kit has Bluetooth capabilities where you can play over any track. The guys made pre-pros. Mike sent them to me right into the Dropbox. I practiced to them, to all the pre-pros. We got into the studio. I recorded all of them in a weekend, and that's how Northvale came to be. We didn't sit in a room and never play together through the entire EP. It was made in, probably
that's
not
so
something
cool.
everyone's proud of, but like I'm proud of it because it just speaks to our abilities to adapt, use technology, and keep up with what's going on, and make something that's real, through a different way, showing it doesn't have to be done the old school way, as cool as it looks in, that Queen movie of working in a studio and writing an entire album. We're not the fucking Beatles, and we don't have all this studio time that we can just, pay for.
No one cares to tell you how expensive that studio time is that they were getting. To write an album in the studio, like.
Come on. Not knowing how the response was going to be, we're like, hey, this is the most efficient, low-cost way that we can do this, and have it be professional. So I was very blessed to have my wife push me into that and get me back into playing, and stop complaining about it. And we're here now. So
yeah, dude. Shout out to her, man, because that's super cool. I freaking like, I love it. I love the story that you guys have. I love the music you're making. Like I said, I have been thoroughly impressed. Like just from the beginning, most of the time, the first releases of a band are good, but not great. And your guys' case is very different than that. It's like you guys came out swinging, and obviously, like you guys had features of multiple great musicians on that debut EP, and now you've got additional musicians. Obviously, with good intentions. You had Ollie or Oliver. I don't know what she goes by. I was thinking of, but yeah, from Broadside. Like that's like that stuff also shows like obviously. You got time with Ace Enders, which means he had to see something in you because he's a pretty busy guy too. So like, I'm super stoked for the new stuff that's coming down the pipeline, because based on what I've heard and then what you guys have said, there's gonna be some awesomeness coming down.
We're hoping. We're stoked.
Dude, that's so cool. Well, I always love to end my podcast just on like a totally random note. Do you guys still have a couple minutes?
Yeah, sure.
Sick. All right. So I always ask a few questions that just have no actual value, but they're fun to get, like random get to know you questions. So I am a sugarholic, so I eat way too much sugar, but first question is stemmed from that. So favorite candy?
I'm going Twix.
Oh, smart.
How are you gonna take my answer just like that?
Twinsies with the Twix?
Yeah, dude,
Hey, left and right, dude. Left and right Twix right there, bro.
I go left Twix, you go right Twix. I don't even like candy, but I love Twix.
Oh yeah, that's good stuff. That's good stuff.
But then you said peanut M&Ms, right?
Peanut M&Ms. I had the lady at the hotel change out all the candy. I was like, I don't want any of this stuff in our cup.
Back from a vacation.
I just got back from vacation. Yeah, I just got back from vacation. And I was like, can you change all this stuff out for Snickers, peanut M&Ms, like all the most like American? She's like, sure. So every day we had peanut. Like my wife was just taking bites of Snickers and not even finishing. I was like, what the hell? I was like, you better finish that Snickers. I was like, ooh, is this almonds?
You gotta come up with a different one.
Dude, Snickers almond, man.
Let me back up. Let me think. You guys remember Warheads?
Oh, dude.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Makes me.
remember Warheads.
Oh, it makes my mouth water even just thinking about Warheads, man.
Yeah, I like Warheads.
Those were fantastic.
I haven't had one in I don't know how long.
Those were painful.
The
Let's see,
idea,
like how sour we can make a candy.
Take a look at who you're talking to.
Well, like.
the idea was great of making this little individualized packaged treat.
Mm-hmm.
Peppermint sour. It was genius.
Yeah. I remember like elementary school doing competitions, like betting friends, be like, I bet I could eat this many, and then they keep one-upping it until your entire mouth is full of Warheads and you can't even breathe because it's just so much. Oh.
Keep it going. Keep it going.
Yeah, just add another one. Add another one. You just keep opening packages after package, and oh.
Isn't there a Warhead beer or a Warhead sour?
I don't want.
Is there?
I think there's a sour.
I don't want any part of that.
Someone used the artwork, same artwork, so it's like
now we gotta find
yeah,
That's amazing. Oh, that's awesome. All right, next question here for you. Sometimes it's hard to come up with a single answer for this one, so I do accept your top 3. But favorite movie?
You guys want to start?
I think my favorite movie is A Bronx Tale. It's like an old mob flick.
Okay. I've never heard of it.
Yeah, man. I think that's my favorite movie.
I'm gonna go Pulp Fiction. I think for me. But
Okay.
That's not fucking fun. I don't know.
You guys are dark, man. I'm going Back to the Future.
Dude. Friggin' love Back to the Future, man.
I can name you his top 10 movies from every year. That's for the past fucking 20 years.
It was gonna be Back to the Future, Indiana Jones, any of them, and then
Except the 4th, right?
Except the 4th, yeah. It was gonna be pre-2000, pre-Shia LaBeouf.
Yes.
Movies, yeah. And then probably James Bond. I always loved all the James Bond films.
What's your favorite James Bond movie?
The Daniel Craig, anything with Daniel Craig.
Dude, I'm so pumped. Next week, the new one drops.
Here, I'm jacked up.
Dude,
jacked up.
I'm stoked for that one. They said that it's the final one in the series. I was like, wait, what?
It's his last one.
His last one. Oh, okay.
Last one, and then they're gonna recast it. So he's been at it for like 15 years.
I know, dude.
He broke like 2 bones on his last one. He's like, yeah, I can't do this anymore. I was like,
yeah,
get your money, but the body is broken. And just go, man.
Weren't they like tossing around the idea of having Idris Elba be James Bond?
Idris Elba, Michael B. Jordan.
Dude, Michael B. Jordan would be dope.
Michael Fassbender or whatever his last name is.
What?
What's your guy name?
The guy Michael Fassbender. That Dutch or German last name. The guy who plays Magneto in all the X-Men movies.
Oh, okay, I know that guy.
Yeah,
I have to look up his name now because that's.
I feel like I was close. I feel like I was close.
I feel like you nailed it.
I feel like I nailed it.
Yeah, Michael He's either Foss or Fassbender. Yeah, it's Fass Bender, right? I don't know. Yeah, that's a interesting last name. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, dude, I'm stoked as well for this one's obviously kind of not in that same vein, but the new what's it called? Venom movie that drops. What is it today? I guess.
Today, yeah. Got good reviews.
Yeah, I'm excited for that one. All right, last question here for you guys. This one's a good one, I think, because it's fun. It's favorite hobby that has nothing to do with music, so non-music related stuff here.
Snowboarding.
We actually all like. I don't know.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, it might be a new one, but for me, it'd be snowboarding.
Nice.
Sure. Same.
All three of you snowboarding, huh?
We're going hard this year, so
yeah. So we all snowboard together too, and we did two trips last season, and we're probably doing a couple trips this season together. So
sick. Where do you guys go?
I'm trying to get these guys to go out west.
Well, we have our Icon pass, so we can go out.
Here's the problem: I'm no good, right? Like I started doing this like a year.
You've made vast improvements.
Yeah.
I started like a year and a half ago, and I go down the mountain with these guys, and they're so good that they'll just dip into the fucking trees off the trail. Like there's trails. Trails are not for them. No, they're too good for trails.
Trails are gross.
I'm like trying to stay up, and I'm like, and Keith is just like in front of me. He's like, "Yo, bro, you just gotta full send it." I'm like, "What the fuck is that?" What do
That's Keith's solution.
Dude, hey,
full send, bro. Go full send. I'm like, Mike, don't do that. Don't do that, Mike.
I have medical insurance now, dude. Full send this year.
Now that I've got insurance, nothing's stopping me.
I haven't broken a rib in quite some time. It's on this year.
Oh my gosh.
No, you know what's crazy? Like Kiara, she told me this. She's like, "Don't be stupid." Cause I always dislocate or do something being stupid. She's like, "You mess up your arm." And Mike was in a band where I dislocated my shoulder in the last band I was in. He's like, "How are you gonna play?" I'm like, "Well," I told him I was like, "You know what? That's actually a really good point." Still didn't. I curved it a little bit, but I'm like, "Oh man, we gotta play like live shows. It's gonna be hard if my arm is popping out of its socket every 2 seconds." He's over here. He'll sing. He'll go full Foo Fighters and sing out of a fucking wheelchair.
As long as I don't I don't know, just hit a tree really hard.
Oh my gosh. You could do.
We're pretty cool. We're doing Vermont, and then another guy in the crew does a lot of West Coast trips. But anything that the Icon covers, you know.
Chad, you said where are you from?
I'm in Utah, so you guys got to come out here, man.
My favorite mountain of all time is Snowbird.
Oh, Snowbird's a good one, dude. Yeah.
Yesterday
of all time,
yeah.
Scariest moment of my life at Snowbird. I love that place.
You know what's funny is I actually like those mountains during the summertime because mountain biking. So I picked up mountain biking. My brother-in-law has gotten me addicted. I just started saving for a bike that's just excessively expensive. I don't know why. It's like, you know,
they're like buying a used Honda Civic.
Yeah, like it's $2,500 and I'm like, "Oh, okay. I can do this." And I'm like, "Dude, this thing better get me like to work every day," but it won't. It's like it's just for the mountains. That's literally it, right? And I'm like, "Dang it, man, this is so expensive."
Basket on the back of milk crate. Yo, dude, you can't do that. You don't need
Sometimes you got it.
Oh, dude, yeah, it's like I said, I just barely got into it, but man, it's very therapeutic to get out there, just like be in nature, man. It's so nice to just go out and ride. But where does the what was that?
I like snow because when you fall on rock and dirt mountain biking, the results are a little different. My boy's out there in Utah, and he owned a company that trained like mountain bikes and like extreme sports.
Oh dang!
People and bachelor party. He's like, "Hey, let's go mountain biking." I'm like, "All right, this can't be
alcohol and mountain biking is not a good combination."
we were stone sober that day. I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not messing around with this." One guy hit those brakes, boop, ever so lightly, flipped over it, flipped over the front, broken rib, was like trying to keep up the rest of the time. I'm like, "Oh, you don't sound so good." He was like,
"Oh no."
I was like, "This guy fucking died out here." Punctures like,
oh. Dude, yeah, I haven't fallen yet. I've almost turfed it multiple times. Like I've clipped trees with the handlebar, but stayed up. I almost went over the front, but ended up like I was just far enough back that it didn't flip over, so I just fell to the side, and it didn't do anything to me. But yeah, I've seen some of my brother-in-law. He uses this app called Trail Forks. And people can take pictures of like the trails they've ridden, and they'll take pictures and they'll show like a lot of them will show where they crashed and then the result of their crash. And I was like, not going to that trail.
That's a good idea for an app.
Yeah, because like And it's nice though, because now we know exactly where to be careful on the trail as opposed to, like just burning through it.
Mountain biking, huh?
The last cliff I shot on a snowboard was in cliff, not a trail.
Not just not a jump, not a hill, just like cliff. Okay.
It wasn't too big. 8-footer, 10-footer, maybe nothing.
Clear. I say like 8,000.
I did it on purpose, but like I wish someone would have like shot the landing. So landing sucked because that was my last broken rib, because I landed and then there was like a weird little like rock by the landing. I had to like swerve out of the way, and I just tomahawked onto like a tree stump and then into a creek.
Into the water? Like, was it?
Yeah, I was knee deep in water.
Oh, that sounds miserable. Mike's sitting here like, dude, I'm not following him ever.
That's why you got to buy good gear, because I was dry. My socks were not wet. My friends had to make like a human chain to pull me out of the water, but it was awesome.
Remember riding snowboarding without a helmet like 15 years ago? And if you saw someone in your helmet, you'd be like, "What's up, nerd?" I put a helmet on. Literally the first time tomahawk hit a rock dead center on the freaking helmet.
Yo.
My first ride down of like coming back after 8 years. My wife's like, "Don't be stupid." I was like, "I got this. Check this out."
This.
Go off the side, little river, like he just dropped down. Tomahawk came up, literally a dent, a little chip out of the thing would have been big dead, as we like.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Big dead.
I love the famous last words though. I got this. Just...
That's usually how I end all my sentences to my wife.
In Utah, that's what I thought I was done for in Utah. I was up. We went there, and my buddy had a friend. She skis semi-pro out there, and we hiked snowbird. We hiked to the top.
Oh my gosh.
And that was the scare. Dude, I must have sat up there for 20 minutes before I like dropped in, because it was just completely inverted through like a rock chute. A chute is like two big things.
Yeah,
you just see a line. You don't see anything else of the mountain. Just a line.
It was kind of like a free fall. That was the end of my day. My day ended super early that day because I went straight into the bar. I snowboarded straight into the bar. Just
the adrenaline, dude. That adrenaline. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm too wimpy. I'm too scared, man. Like those high speeds and stuff sketch me out.
I wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't have done that if I knew.
That can go bad real quick. Like Keith has got that unhinged side of him, and that's why now when we go, we make sure he's tethered or we're tracking him on an app. I gotta take his ass out.
Yeah, dude.
You know, for those selfish purposes, I'm like, I'm not finding another singer that can sing like you. So,
yeah. That's too much work. You need to stay alive and don't break a rib so you can still sing.
It's hard enough to do this during a pandemic. I don't need you dying.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, dude, I just am like, I'm such a pansy. I used to skateboard, and like I remember like the worst experience I had, like my buddy, we were being stupid. It was on like homecoming celebration, like not the dance night, but like where they do like the burning of what, I don't know if you guys ever did that. We burned like the mascot of the opposing team on some, anyway. Yeah. So we but we were inside the school because it was still unlocked due to this thing, and there was this 8 stair inside of the school that my buddy was like, we have to hit this because it's our only chance when there won't be like people watching. And I was like, all right. And kind of the same thing as you, Keith, where you're like sitting at the top, you know, he lands it, and I'm like, sick, that's dope. And I sat there and I rode up to it, stopped, turned around, tried again. I was like, I stopped. And then this last time I actually committed, but when I jumped, like when I ollied, the commitment was gone. And
I feel like I'm there. Oh God, you're falling.
Yeah, dude. I racked myself so hard on the stairs, just splits and slammed right. Oh, worst experience, dude. My nut. Oh, it was so bad. And my buddy's just dying of laughter because he's already landed it, right? And I'm like, I'm just too scared, man. I couldn't do it. And that was only an 8 stair.
So. We know you didn't break anything too bad.
Yeah. I mean, it still works, right? So they're still doing their job. Oh man. Well, guys, it was super awesome getting to know you and getting to talk with you guys. I do want to reiterate, I'm a huge fan, so I'm really excited for what's coming out. And you know, maybe we'll have you guys on again when the music is ready to drop. I'd love to talk again.
Hit us up, man. Whenever.
We're in.
Absolutely. Well, you guys have a stellar night, all right?
All right, dude. You too.
All right. Peace out.
All right, later. Thank you.
Awesome. That was super cool. Those guys are dope. That was awesome. Anyway, I've got to go help my wife with the kiddos because I'm a dad, I'm a husband, and I'm a responsible adult. I'm just kidding. Anyway, I may be streaming